All right, so with the mass tech migration that's taking place right now, I'm sure everyone is cracking open a bunch of different textbooks to get certifications in Scrum, security, project management. The list continues to go on, right? In fact, I just saw someone on social media as of last month, now that's February, they decided they want to start studying for the Security Plus, which is cool. So I decided to go over two terms that threw me off and why I got them mixed up, and hopefully this will help other people that are still trying to study and get their way into tech or are already in, but maybe they still just have a hard time not mixing up these two terms. All right, so today we're going to talk about durability and resilience. These are not the same thing, but usually when people say them, we tend to get them fairly mixed up. So I want to touch on these two terms, what they each mean, and why do we tend to mix them up. First, durability. To define durability, durability basically is how much damage can something take without it really being affected by it, right? Now, this may be a little confusing. You can think of it as how much damage can something or someone take without them showing or being affected by the damage they're taking, or how many times can they get hit without taking any real substantial damage at all. It's like they just brush it off. Those are the two main ways we tend to process it, but I think you can still move forward with either one. The whole point with durability is you're able to hit something, bend it, throw it, whatever you do, anything that would normally deal some type of damage and wear and tear to it, but it's not affected by it. The performance of the object or of the person does not decrease because you hit it X amount of times or you bent it, if it was like a knife of some kind or something like that. It's still going to be able to function normally despite how many times you try to wear it down. Durability is pretty common when it comes to advertising because especially these days when it comes to like the Stanley Cups, and I have an iron flask myself, we look at things that we tend to drop on accident when we're not paying attention, or when parts just break and it just slams, and now you have a big old water mess or even food and things like that. So durability is a pretty common selling point when you're trying to push a product and you're like, hey, this thing can take a beating. You can drop it, you can unintentionally drop it and do some damage to it. It might be dinged up, it might be scratched, but your water bottle won't leak. It'll function as normal. The water will still stay cold for 12 hours, right? If it's a lunchbox, your food won't suddenly go flying out all over the place because you accidentally dropped it. It fell off your bag that it was clipped onto or anything like that. So that's how people look at durability. How much of a beating basically can something take without its performance ultimately being affected? Which leads us to number two, resilience. Now we tend to think of resilience in a similar way of durability, especially for people like me, anime fans. We hear those two terms, more so resilience. We tend to hear that term a lot, and I don't think it's truly been clarified. And I didn't notice it until I was speaking to my mentor last year, and he told me, I was trying to talk to him via text, talking about tech stuff, and he even mentioned you're confusing durability with, or rather redundancy with resilience, which eventually I was able to understand redundancy just fine. But I found, as I was writing the script for this and writing it, we tend to get durability and resilience mixed up a lot. I found that, I did a little research and I was like, this is a pretty common question, hence why we're talking about it. So what is resilience or resiliency? Not just in tech, but just in general, by the way. What is it? So resilience can be similar. There's a little bit of overlap to durability in terms of taking some type of damage or something like that. But the main difference with resilience is that it's more about bouncing back. Here's how you can think about it. Resilience is more about bouncing back. You've already taken blows, you're being hurt, you can feel the pain coming, but how much can you essentially keep trucking on? That's essentially what it's about. Let's put it to you this way. Durability is more akin to, let's say, Goku versus Jiren. Primarily the very first round when they fought, if you want to call it a fight, that was a one-sided butt whooping, you know what I'm saying? But either way, their very first round, when Goku was working his way up from base form all the way up to Super Saiyan Blue, pretty much any energy blast, Kamehameha, any punches and kicks that he was throwing Jiren's way, Jiren was standing there tanking it. He didn't even feel it when it came down to it. That's an example of durability. Damage and things that do damage were being thrown his way, but it wasn't affecting his performance at all. To a degree, if not literally, he did not feel it. He literally brushed it off, right? That's an example of durability. And that is something else that we see very often with anime is one opponent trying to fight another one, and the other one, they take a punch to the face, a punch to the gut, or an energy blast, or dozens of little like bombs and things, and they just keep on walking, they keep on trucking, they keep on fighting, and they dominate the fight. That's an example of durability. Resilience is more, again, akin to bouncing back. So let's shift from Dragon Ball to Avatar. As much as I love Aang, and I do love Aang, I actually don't like Korra as a character. It might be an unpopular opinion, but I personally do not care for Korra as a character. But one thing I have to give to Korra, she might be an all-around stronger, I won't say better, but all-around stronger Avatar than Aang. And one example of this is she is more resilient than Aang. Aang is not as resilient as Korra. It's not even close. If those two were to fight, Korra would be able to knock down Aang once, maybe twice, and Aang's gonna have to go down for a 10-minute nap. Versus Korra, and we actually saw examples of this in Korra versus Kuvira. When Kuvira, there were multiple times when she like slid the earth under Korra and threw her balance off, or just, used the little slips of metal to bind Korra and then throw her to the ground. And Korra was instantly ready to get back up. You're being hurt, you're being damaged, you're feeling these things that are happening to you. You just are able to push back up off the ground and just keep on fighting the way Korra did, right? So that's the difference. Durability, you can kind of frame it as a proactive type of thing, in that you're so fortified and you're so solid that anything that comes to you is not shaking you. But resilience is more, you can say, reactive in a way, in that things are happening, you feel it, you're taking the blows, you're taking the damage, and you're getting knocked down on your face, on your back, you're being thrown around, but you keep on trucking. Preferably you keep on trucking pretty quick. Like as soon as you get knocked down, you're right back up. Not like Aang where you're down and you have to give me a minute or two. That's a pretty stark difference there. So why do we tend to mix up the terms durability and resilience? I think we tend to mix those words up because even outside of tech, just in general, but especially with tech, you need to be careful with the words you use. But I would say just in general, I think we tend to mix up durability and resilience because we just know they have to do with a bad situation, like an uncomfortable situation where you're taking some type of like pain or things aren't going your way. There's a overlap of toughness. There's a core belief that being durable and being resilient, it has to do with how tough you are. I think that's how most people kind of just oversimplify it in their head, but they don't necessarily know truly like what these things mean, especially in the tech world where, again, you have to be pretty careful in the tech world. Like there are some people we would consider grammar. I don't know if YouTube would get me in trouble for this, but let's just say they're just big on grammar, right? They nitpick your word choice. Like they probably know what you mean, but because you use the wrong word, it like sets them off, or they will get on you about it, but I won't use the other word. But, it's kind of like that. And there's a reason for that, because in the tech world, when you use the wrong word, you're alluding to the wrong thing, and it can get pretty detail oriented. So when you use the wrong word, especially in the presence of a customer or a client, you may have just derailed the conversation to a different area than what was intended. So that's why it can get pretty granular like that at times. But on a regular, every day-to-day basis, it's not as bad. Again, we tend to just know that resilience and durability both have to do with toughness, and the more you have of each, basically you're a tougher person to take down. That's all we tend to know about it. But again, that's the main difference between the two. Durability, you can view it as things are happening to somebody or to an object, but they might as well not be there in the first place, because you're going to keep moving as if you didn't feel it at all. You probably didn't feel it at all. Versus if someone is bouncing back, like they're taking punishment, you see the wounds, you see everything going wrong with them. They keep getting thrown around like a rag doll, but they keep getting back up, and they keep getting back up quickly at that. Then you're talking about someone that's resilient. They're not brushing off the damage. They can just keep moving through it until the job is done, which is a good sign of resilience. But both do have, in a sense, to do with toughness. So yeah, guys, hopefully that helped both in a personal and tech sense, especially for those who are looking to get like Security Plus or any other type of tech-related certification, where those are pretty big concepts to understand. I hope that was helpful. If you got any feedback for me, leave them for me in the comment section down below, and I'll see you guys next time. Later.